Good morning, Maya Barbak. Here's the plan. Remove the forms from the last 6 ground floor columns in the house and see what the poured concrete looks like. Then they will start working a little bit more on the runner beams, not the runner beams, which are the tie beams that go across the top of those columns. They will be continuing to work on the forms in the carport and storage room to prepare that for the tie beam poured there before they go a little higher with the concrete hollow block. They will be working on the wall at the front of the property to get more of those columns poured and probably a little bit of extra work down there as well. And they will be continuing on the south wall over by the basketball court to try and get all of those columns and beams in place, and then maybe a little bit of concrete hollow block. We'll have to wait and see. What could possibly go wrong? Well, it's almost 11 o'clock. My schedule has been completely blown off track by going out last night, which means that today I was trying to finish off the editing and still uploading the video from yesterday in a different location. I was in the other house. And then we've just had a meeting with the second of the potential air conditioning suppliers. So I'm starting here late. I was here early, honestly. But let's start with the columns that they poured yesterday. They haven't yet got the forms off of all of them. There's still 3 clothed, but of all of them, this was the one I was most concerned with, because this was the one they did last, where there may have been a temptation to skimp a little bit on the rules that we imposed of making sure it was properly vibrated. But look at it. It's glorious. There's absolutely nothing on this. No voids. It's fantastic. As Manny described it, it's bogey. And yes, for you English, it's not the same meaning, obviously. It's beautiful or pretty or very good looking. And it is. And that is repeated on the other 2 that they have so far removed the forms from. We'll see what the last 3 look like in a little while. We'll just move over to the back of the house where they've started work on those runner beams. So we now have the runner beams. Oh, I've got to be very careful with that. Not much point putting runner beams up there. Across this side, all the way across. We're getting a lot more scaffolding going up across this side, basically the back, not here, but a little further over there. There's scaffolding going up. And we got singers. We got singers everywhere. Manny's now singing. Keep going, Manny. Don't stop. Come on. Oh, he's got shy. At the corner of the front wall and the north wall, we have the upper part of 7 columns that were poured yesterday and have now been made naked, forms removed. And as you can potentially make out, they, as always, they leave the very top of the column so that when they pour the beam, which is now spreading most of the way across this wall now, the top beam, so that when they pour that, they pour the top of the column as well, which I'm led to believe gives you a stronger bond between those areas. So they will continue moving down this way and putting that beam in place across the top of the wall today. Not sure if there will be anything beyond that. We'll see. I would imagine, given that they've now got forms actually all the way across, no, one missing at the end, They've got forms on most of the upper part of the remainder of those columns, so they may well get some or all of those poured as well. Back at the carport, Ron in the hard hat. Well done, Ronwell. And Richard are continuing with these beams, or sorry, with the forms for the runner beams across the whole front. And then they'll move around the sides and the back. I imagine that will not all get done today. That's a fairly major task, particularly for only 2 guys. And here we're at the south wall on the basketball court, alongside the subdivision next door. And they completed already this morning the form for the tie beam at the bottom, the slightly unusually, marginally elevated bottom tie beam above the basketball court, and they have poured concrete about just over halfway along that tie beam, and they also finished off the concrete, this footing and column. So we're really starting to connect now. This is the last bit going from this area of wall down to the area of wall at the end of the basketball court. Once that's done, they've still got to go higher, but, oh, sorry, take your dizzy pills. But then we're basically up to that corner, and that's when they turn the corner and start to try to keep the remaining part of the neighbour's wall standing. Please wish them good luck in the comments. It's going to be very tricky. Right, post-lunch. Starting here on the basketball court, and we are indeed getting the first levels of concrete hollow block. And it just got noisy. Thanks, Nat. Impeccable timing. So we are now, about 2/3-ish of the way across this new beam, 1 block up. We'll come back at the end of the day and see how far they got. Under house, we have removed 1.5 more of the forms. There's still 1.5 to go. I think this is one of the new ones. And let's have a look. Very nice. Very, very nice. That one looks very good. And further away, you won't be able to see the detail, obviously, but that one, on what's been exposed so far, also looks extremely good. What else is happening here? Oh, stop hiding. Oh, shyness. So we've got scaffolding going up everywhere. And these runner beams also started to go up. Very hot, says Jeff. Aldoldo, Napali. Every day hot. It's unseasonably hot, and it has been for a while. Global warming. Come on, governments, get to grips. So yeah, beams going up, scaffolding going up. It's all starting to look rather different. Front wall, we have forms in place, at least on this side, to potentially pour 7 more of the upper parts of these columns. We'll have a look on the other side and see if that's done as well. And we also have the tie beam running to this point and just then it tapers off. So there's only 2 more sections. I'm not saying it's finished, but they have at least the beginnings of a beam across the top, all the way from the other corner on our left, almost to the end of the current end of this wall, which won't be the end, but it is for now. So on this side, yes, we have the forms in place for those columns. And they're starting to work on the forms for the tie beam at the top. I'm not sure if this qualifies also as a runner beam. I guess it does. Anyway, so I imagine we will probably see some concrete poured here today, or that maybe that they decide to try and finish off these forms across the top first and then pour. We'll see. The end of the day. Bell's just gone, and we'll start here at the south wall of the basketball court, and we now have a wall across the basketball court. It's not very high yet, but it does go all the way across. 3 layers of hollow block on top of the tie beam that they did before. So we're connected. That extra several layers, 1, 2, 3, 4 layers to catch up with the other wall on either side, won't take too long. They may even get that done tomorrow, we'll see. And here at the pump room, a lot of the forms have now been removed. Not everything yet, but we'll try and get the drone up tomorrow and see if we can take a look at the top. Coilito's just given it another watering down, which is again always good to see. Want that water on to help the concrete cure. So yeah, I think this only had one person working on it today, so they've done quite a lot as a one-man show. Here at the front, we're getting more and more of the forms done for the raised tie beam at the top of the wall. I don't think any concrete was poured here today. There is no concrete mixer nearby. The area where they're pouring concrete has nothing wet in it, so I'm pretty sure it was all form work this afternoon. But they have now got forms in place at the top for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections, and they got 5 to go. Plus, of course, there's still the 2 more sections of wall that have not yet been built. But we are approaching having a semi-finished front wall. Great news. And this was the last of the columns that was had the forms removed today, the one we couldn't get to earlier. And again, it looks very, very good. So I think the general message is that if you are planning yourself to have a house built in a similar manner, or at least with concrete columns, one of the steps that you need to try and insist on is regular vibrating of the column as they pour the concrete. And for us, that was basically doing it in thirds. Pour the concrete to a third, vibrate. Pour the second third, vibrate. Pour the top third, vibrate. So I think the suggestion from what we've seen here is that is effective. There are other ways of helping to ensure a void-free or reduced voids, but this is one that seems to work very well for us. So if you're doing it yourself, that would be our advice, or my advice: regular vibration. And as for the rest of the house today, this was where the majority of the crew were based, and you can see we've got scaffolding has gone up all over the place. We've got those runner beams in more locations, still a long way to go, but we have all of the north wall has the beams, half of the east wall, the front of the house, has the beams, and there's a couple have been done on internal walls, so probably 25%-ish of those runner beams have been done. And the scaffolding is basically going up and being moved around to help them prepare the rest. So a very different look. Once these runner beams are all in place, I think that might be a good time to try and get the drone up and have a look down and hopefully give you a better idea of what the house will look like in terms of layout. So we'll try that maybe tomorrow, might be the next day, or maybe both, we'll see. But that's it for today. Day 49. It's hard to believe we're very near to day 50. the day is done. One slightly unusual thing, I've not really done much in the way of shout-outs for a rather odd reason, which I might or might not go into at some point. But I do want to do one today. It is the birthday of Lilibeth Sanchez, who is my Asawa's best friend, and it's her birthday today. And also, last evening, she became a grandmother for the second time, as she said, at the ripe old age of 29-ish. So, Lilibeth, happy birthday. We'll see you again soon, and for everybody else, hopefully, catch you tomorrow. Bye.